Today, I want to speak directly to that part of you that sometimes whispers in the quiet moments, that part of you that knows deep down you were made for more. We live in a world where it's easy to pretend, easy to settle, easy to wear the mask of fine, while inside you feel a fire that refuses to go out. Many of us have spent years chasing what others told us we should want: titles, money, approval, the illusion of security, only to wake up feeling unfulfilled, asking ourselves, is this really all there is? And the truth, my friends, is that no amount of pretending can silence the call of your heart. This is why it is so important to get honest about what you truly want. Not what your parents wanted for you, not what society says you should want, not what fear tries to convince you is safe, but what you, the real you, were born to pursue. Because until you admit it, until you say it out loud, you will always live in the shadows of almost, stuck in the comfort zone, hiding from the responsibility of your own greatness. See, honesty is powerful. Honesty liberates. Honesty forces you to confront the gap between where you are and where you know you belong. And once you become honest, truly honest, something begins to shift inside of you. You start to feel courage rise, you start to see possibilities, and you begin to take steps that once felt impossible. So today, I challenge you, strip away the excuses, peel back the layers of fear, and silence the voices of doubt. Ask yourself the bold question, what do I truly want out of this life? And when the answer comes, don't ignore it, don't downplay it, and don't hide from it. Because the life you dream of is waiting, but it will only show up when you get real with yourself. This is your moment to stop living someone else's story and start writing your own. Get honest, get bold, and watch how life opens up for you. The power of radical self. Honesty is one of the most overlooked forces that can completely transform the direction of a person's life. Yet most people resist it because it demands courage and the willingness to confront truths they've been avoiding for years. To be radically honest with yourself means to strip away every mask, every story you've been telling others, and more importantly, the story you've been telling yourself. It is uncomfortable, it is raw, and at times it can even feel painful, but it is the very doorway that leads to freedom. Most people never step into their true potential not because they lack ability, but because they have not been willing to tell themselves the truth about where they are, what they really want, and what they are no longer willing to tolerate. Radical self-honesty is like standing in front of a mirror with the lights turned all the way up. You see everything. The flaws, the strengths, the missed opportunities, and the dreams that have been buried under years of compromise. It can shake you. It can expose the gap between who you are and who you know you could be, but it is also the beginning of authentic change. Think about how often people create illusions to protect themselves from discomfort. Someone might tell themselves they're happy in their job when deep down they feel drained every single day. Another person may convince themselves they're content in a relationship when deep down they feel unseen and unfulfilled. Many people settle into a lifestyle that is far smaller than what they truly desire, all because being honest would force them to admit that change is necessary and change is never easy. But if you avoid honesty to remain comfortable, you end up living a lie that eats away at your spirit. Radical honesty demands that you stop performing for the world and start acknowledging the voice within that says, "This is not enough. I was meant for more." It forces you to break through the excuses that keep you trapped in mediocrity. Excuses like, I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. I don't have the right connections. The truth is, most of the time we don't lack the resources. We lack the honesty to admit that we are afraid, that we've been procrastinating, that we've been settling. When you get radically honest, you stop making excuses and you start seeing the real reasons you've been stuck. Radical honesty is not about beating yourself up. It is not about judgment or shame. It is about clarity. It is about seeing things as they are, not worse than they are, and not sugarcoating them to protect your feelings. When you are radically honest, you can finally confront what is real. If your health is suffering because you've neglected your body, you don't blame genetics. You get honest and admit you haven't been making it a priority. If your career is stagnant, you don't tell yourself the market is too competitive. You get honest and admit you haven't been showing up fully. You haven't been pushing yourself. You've been playing small. If your relationships lack depth, you don't blame the other person alone. You get honest and recognize where you failed to communicate, failed to grow, failed to show up authentically. Honesty breaks the chains of denial and opens the door to responsibility. And responsibility is the seed of empowerment, because when you own the truth, you also own the power to change it. There is also a freedom that comes with radical honesty that cannot be found anywhere else. Pretending to be someone you're not is exhausting. Living according to expectations that don't align with your soul will drain you day after day. But when you finally get honest, when you finally strip away the lies you've been carrying, you breathe easier. You walk lighter. You wake up with a renewed sense of purpose because you are no longer hiding from yourself. This freedom is not about perfection. It's about alignment. You may not have everything figured out, but at least you're no longer wasting energy maintaining a facade. That alone releases an enormous weight off your shoulders. The challenge with radical honesty is that it will disrupt your comfort zone. It may mean admitting that the path you've been walking for years is not your true path. It may mean recognizing that the people you've surrounded yourself with are not aligned with where you're going. It may mean confronting the fact that you've been settling in ways you don't want to settle anymore. That is why so many people avoid it. It shakes the very foundation of their identity. But what they don't realize is that this disruption is exactly what allows growth. Just like a muscle has to be broken down before it becomes stronger, your illusions have to be broken apart before your true self can rise. Radical honesty destroys the lies so that truth can take root, and from that truth comes real strength. Think of any great achievement, any person who truly inspired the world, and you will see someone who first got radically honest with themselves. They had to face uncomfortable truths about where they were and what they wanted. They had to admit that their current reality was not enough and that they were capable of more. Whether it was an entrepreneur who admitted they could not be fulfilled working for someone else, an artist who confessed that their soul could no longer stay silent, or a leader who acknowledged that their community deserved more, the pattern is always the same. Honesty came before transformation. Without that honesty, they would have continued living in compromise. With it, they created lives that impacted millions. Radical honesty is also about stripping away the voices of others that live rent-free in your mind. For many people, the desires they chase are not truly their own. They are the expectations handed down by parents, teachers, peers, or society. A person might become a doctor because their family insisted it was the prestigious path, even though their heart was never in it. Another might stay in a business because society told them security is everything, even though their spirit is suffocating. Radical honesty asks you to stop and ask, is this really what I want? Or is this what I was told to want? That question alone can change everything. It may feel frightening because if the answer is no, it means you have to face the truth that you've been living someone else's life. But it is far better to admit it now and change than to spend decades climbing a ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. There is also a unique courage that comes with honesty. When you tell yourself the truth, you begin to develop resilience. You are no longer fragile, dependent on approval, or scared of rejection, because you are standing on a foundation of truth that cannot be shaken. Lies are fragile, illusions collapse under pressure, but truth stands firm. And when you build your life on truth, you become unshakable. That courage translates into every area of life. It shows up in your willingness to take risks, to pursue bold opportunities, to have difficult conversations, and to face failure without losing yourself. Honesty becomes the armor that allows you to face the world as you truly are without apology. When you practice radical self-honesty, it also deepens your relationships. Because when you are authentic with yourself, you naturally become more authentic with others. People can sense when you're being real, and they are drawn to that. They trust it. They respect it. Relationships built on honesty become stronger, richer, and more meaningful. On the other hand, relationships built on pretenses eventually collapse. They cannot withstand the weight of dishonesty. By being honest with yourself, you invite honesty from others, and together you create connections that nourish instead of drain. At the end of the day, radical self-honesty is not a one-time act. It is a daily practice. It means waking up each morning and asking, am I being true to myself today? Am I living in alignment with what I truly want? Or am I slipping back into old patterns of pretending? Some days you will do better than others, but the commitment to honesty will always pull you forward. It becomes the compass that guides your choices, your actions, and your future. Aligning your true desires with bold action to create a life you own is one of the most empowering and liberating decisions you can ever make, but it is also one of the most demanding. It requires more than simply knowing what you want, because knowledge without movement will always keep you in the same place. Many people discover their true desires but stop there, as if recognition alone will change their lives. They might admit to themselves that they want freedom, that they want to pursue a dream, that they want to live in alignment with their passion. But unless they are willing to take bold and consistent action, those desires remain locked in the realm of fantasy. It is not honesty alone that sets you free. It is the combination of honesty and action that produces transformation. The courage to act even when the path is unclear, even when the fear is loud, is what separates those who live fulfilled lives from those who remain trapped in cycles of regret. Aligning your desires with action begins with clarity. Once you have gotten honest with yourself about what you truly want, the next step is to map out how that desire translates into tangible steps. For example, if you discover that your deepest desire is to build a business, you cannot just sit with that awareness. You must move towards it with strategy and intention. That might mean learning skills, building a network, creating a plan, and most importantly, taking the first imperfect step. If you realize that what you truly want is health and vitality, then that truth must be matched by daily choices. Changing your diet, committing to exercise, prioritizing rest. The principle is universal. Truth plus action creates alignment. Without alignment, you experience inner conflict. Your heart says one thing, your actions do another, and the gap between the two creates frustration, anxiety, and stagnation. But when your actions begin to reflect your deepest desires, you experience harmony within yourself, and that harmony radiates into everything you do. Bold action is essential because ordinary action is rarely enough to break through the inertia of a life built on compromise. Small, hesitant steps can create progress, but bold steps are what create momentum. Bold action means stepping into uncertainty, investing in yourself, risking rejection, facing criticism, and still moving forward. It means trusting yourself even when you don't have all the answers. It is not reckless. It is intentional courage. There is a difference between waiting for the perfect moment and creating the moment. Those who live lives of ownership are the ones who stop waiting for conditions to be ideal and decide to act boldly with what they have, where they are. Boldness accelerates the process. It announces to the world and to yourself that you are serious, that you are committed, that you are no longer negotiating with your excuses. Taking bold action also rewires your self-identity. Every time you take a courageous step, you reinforce the belief that you are someone capable of growth, capable of change, capable of building the life you want. Identity is shaped by repeated choices. If you continually choose hesitation, you build the identity of someone who plays small. If you continually choose boldness, you build the identity of someone who expands, someone who is unafraid of challenge. Over time, your actions prove to you who you are. And once you believe in yourself at that level, external circumstances lose their power over you. You no longer need permission from others. because you have given permission to yourself. Another important aspect of aligning your desires with action is consistency. Boldness is not a single moment of courage, it is a pattern of courageous choices. Many people start strong but stop as soon as they face resistance. They may take the first step toward their dream, but when obstacles appear, they retreat into old habits. To truly own your life, you must push past resistance with persistence. Obstacles are not signs to quit, they are signs to grow. They test whether your desire is genuine or just a passing interest. Bold action turns obstacles into training grounds. Each time you face resistance, you develop resilience, and resilience is what sustains long-term transformation. Consistency builds momentum, and momentum builds results. There is also a level of sacrifice required when aligning your desires with bold action. You cannot create a new life while clinging to everything from the old one. If you want growth, you must be willing to let go of the patterns, relationships, and environments that hold you back. That may mean saying no to comfort in order to say yes to growth. It may mean walking away from people who do not support your vision. It may mean giving up temporary pleasures for long-term fulfillment. Sacrifice is not about loss. It is about exchange, trading what no longer serves you for what aligns with who you truly are. And while it can be uncomfortable, the reward is always greater than the cost. Fear will always accompany bold action. You will feel it in your chest before you step on stage, in your stomach before you make that investment, in your mind before you walk away from a path that doesn't serve you. But fear is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that you are moving in the right direction. If there is no fear, it means you are still in the comfort zone and nothing grows there. The people who create lives they own are not fearless. They are simply unwilling to let fear decide for them. They move anyway. They act anyway. They trust anyway. Over time, fear loses its grip because action builds evidence and evidence builds confidence. The more bold steps you take, the more you realize that fear is an illusion, a shadow that disappears when you move into the light of action. Another powerful truth is that bold action inspires others. When you align your desires with action, you don't just change your life, you create ripples that affect everyone around you. People see your courage, they see your authenticity, and it gives them permission to do the same. Alignment is contagious. Boldness is magnetic. Your life becomes a living example of what is possible when someone refuses to settle. That influence is part of what it means to truly own your life. Not only do you experience fulfillment, but you also ignite it in others. Owning your life also means taking responsibility for both successes and failures. When you act boldly, not every step will go as planned. You will make mistakes, you will face setbacks, you will encounter rejection. But when you are truly aligned, you stop seeing failure as final. Instead, you see it as feedback, as information that helps you refine your path. Failure is only dangerous when it causes you to retreat. When you own your life, failure becomes fuel. Every misstep teaches you something about yourself, something about your dream, something about your strategy. Those lessons become part of your strength, and they equip you for even greater action. Ultimately, aligning your true desires with bold action creates integrity within yourself. Integrity means wholeness. It means that your words, your thoughts, your desires, and your actions are in harmony. Without alignment, you experience fragmentation, saying one thing, doing another, wanting one thing, tolerating its opposite. That fragmentation creates inner conflict. But when your actions reflect your true desires, you experience peace. You walk through life with confidence, knowing that you are not betraying yourself. That integrity is the essence of ownership. It means you are no longer a passive participant in life. You are the author. You are no longer drifting. You are directing. You are no longer waiting. You are creating. And while it requires courage, persistence, and sacrifice, the reward is living a life that feels authentic, purposeful, and fully your own.